the part nobody sees. When you're in that driveway at 9:45 at night with the thoughts in your head, coming home work, being late, whatever kept you there, whether you're doing something, a new business idea, dealing with an employee issue, or something just came up, and you're in a driveway and you're about to walk into your house, you get this overwhelming feeling. We've all had that feeling. Is it worth it? Here's the hours you have to put in. You might have missed that event. You missed that dinner. You might have missed that event with the kids. This is the price that nobody talks about. You have to pay to build something. This is what people don't see. And this is a great example. And an example for this, for me, really right now, as I say this, is I'm going through a transition with my business where I'm putting the extra hours in. I'm learning how to integrate AI across the business. I'm actually working two businesses at the same time. The part nobody sees is me getting up early, me working late, me not showing up to events for my kids and my family, the sacrifices, me going through books, talking to AI agents, learning all this stuff all the time. How do I apply this? Do I have a business in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? This is the part nobody sees. If you're a small business owner, if you're a founder, if you're an entrepreneur, if you own a business, anything that you're doing, this is the part nobody wants to talk about. The sacrifices you have to make day in and day out, right? So let's get real with this at the end of the day. It's not easy. And you see all this stuff on social media and how I could do this and how I could do that. But let's get real. Let's get real with the people who put in the hours, those long hours, the self-doubt that kind of creeps in at the end of the day. It's the part nobody sees. I mean, how many times have you gotten up early in the morning and maybe you head into the office and you're getting up before your kids get up or your wife gets up? Or how many of you who are working late, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night? Maybe your kids are sleeping and you're up working until 2, 3 in the morning. Maybe you figure out how to balance it out that you spend a couple hours with them, then you stay up 2 o'clock in the morning not getting sleep. I know some people do that as well, trying to balance it out. It's the part nobody sees in building. You look at it. You look at some of these great entrepreneurs, and I talked about how they, Musk and Bezos and Gates, look at that add up. They've gone through a lot of divorces. That's the part nobody sees. The toil it takes on you, how it changes you at the end of the day, how it changes your relationships. Hey, for me, I got married later in life, thinking that, hey, I accomplished a lot and let me do that later. And for whatever reason, I had this itch to start a company, found a company from scratch. And things are going well. Things are growing great. Got caught in some situations that wasn't necessarily prepared for, which cost a lot of money, a lot of heartache. Now I found my way getting out of that, and I'm like, great, things are going well. You know, we're riding well for a year or two, and then all of a sudden, market kind of changes. I'm like, oh, I have to adapt again. And now I'm looking at the market, and then I'm looking at how AI is changing the workplace, and how do I incorporate it? Nobody knows. Nobody really knows how that's going to affect the workplace. Everyone's guessing. All this money is being put in. It's speculative because we don't know how it's going to change the world. We have a general idea it will. A lot of smart people are sticking money in because we know it's going to change the world, but we don't know what actually it's going to do. A lot of people have a lot of wasted energy in their businesses using AI. Is it producing a result? I know I have. I could tell you my lessons. I could tell you I've been through 3 or 4 different people promising the world. Well, the world that was promised is not the world I'm living in today. It's kind of chaos. I had a system, using a third-party CRM system, and then we decided to build one from scratch. Well, I used to be able to just kind of, boom, find my contacts and send an email. Now it's like, is the AI doing it? Is my engineer doing it? Is my CTO involved? Just to do a simple task, thing breaks. I'm like, oh my God, why did I get off? It was my call. I said, hey, I'd rather break it and learn it than stick to the old world. And that's painful because it's taken me 3 times as long to do a basic task. Now, I hope the other side is going to be something more efficient, but I don't know. haven't talked to anyone out there who has actually efficiently done this. And I'm talking about like actually sat down, had a conversation with a business owner that I incorporated AI across my business, and I was able to reduce costs by 30%, increase revenue by 30%. I'm just throwing some numbers out there. Have you? That's who I want to talk to. I want to talk to you, other business owners out there that are doing it, going through the same things I'm going through right now in this market. So this is what nobody sees. And at the end of the day, who do you have to reach out to? Is there someone out there that has an answer? Is there a mentor I could just call right now and say, hey, help me out with this issue? This is the part nobody sees. Really isn't. There isn't someone you could call that has an answer. You got to kind of lean into this yourself and kind of figure it out and keep going and going and going and going. There's no one to call. Hey, I'm going to call that person up. And I catch myself doing this. I'm like, hey, I'm going to call this person up to help me out. I have a lot of conversations with chat lately. Now I'm like nervous. Maybe chat knows too much about me because I'm having conversations. Better than talking to someone who has no idea what I'm talking about. I think it might have more feedback because it will tell me if I'm being repetitive and stuff. And I like that. There's nobody around me that I could ask, hey, how do you do this? Because no one has done it before. I'm not going to ask that 25-year-old kid, how do you incorporate AI across my business? You haven't really ran a business before. Or the other person who's around my same age who has no idea about technology. I got off the phone today with somebody and they're talking about, hey, you're kind of one of these business owners that actually kind of get it versus some of the clientele they use. And I'm like, oh, thank you very much. Doesn't mean that service provider is actually going to provide service for me. If I get it or not, I still want a result. Interesting thing, I didn't get an email back from the guy today after the conversation. So we'll see how that one goes. Part no one really talks about. It's like going through vendors and new relationships. Hey, I promise you this. Okay, let's see if it delivers. This market's different. I'm always talking to people about asking the second and third question. They ask one question. Ask like 2, 3, 4, 5 questions deep. Again, nobody had taught me how to do this. It's something I kind of figured out on my own. And I know how to think and I know how to solve problems. And I start borrowing names. Elon Musk, first principles. Socratic thought process. Simon Sinek's Ask the 5 Whys. This is how I've always just figured things out. I was able to deconstruct math problems at an early age and get an answer. My teachers would be like, how'd you get the answer? It's like, well, this is how I did it. And they're like, oh, that's a different approach. So they always able to problem solve. While as I'm explaining to people, I was like, okay, who can I bring into this story that they can relate to? And so Musk is first principles is more, I would say, mainstream than Socratic thought process. And Simon Sinek had his thing maybe a decade ago. And so you go, what's new? That's kind of a technique out there. You go, is it Keros or something? Renee Rodriguez taught me this word that you go with what's someone's out in the news today. And someone that someone's going to relate to. It's like, if I'm going to talk to someone, maybe most people know Elon, so that's okay. But it just depends. If I talk to a younger generation, I have to use references that they'll understand. Older generation, maybe references they understand. And there's mainstream stuff. Just preparing for a presentation tomorrow, and we're putting together like 10 or 15 graphs. And I said, okay, we got to use these graphs and these statistics from reputable organizations that support our thesis. And we got to present it in a manner where people can understand it. Again, there is a lot of inferent data sources out there. And there's a lot of reputable data sources that people don't know about. And they're like, who's that? So you got to use one that your audience kind of understands. Like, you always use Bloomberg at the end of the day, right? Bloomberg's a good source for data. But if I get too specific and use some of these acronyms that people don't understand, it goes way over their heads. Maybe I use the Federal Reserve in some cases on that. It's always good to use credible sources. Wall Street Journal works, but it just always depends on your audience too. You could really there's only certain ones that are mainstream that everybody understands. Those are safe areas. And as you have a different audience, maybe more institutional audience, you could go deeper and wider with those references because they go into that data as well. And they're going to look at more data points than anything else. But again, this is kind of how you're kind of sharing information. And who taught me this? Kind of just learned, trial and error. Going through a tough time, I'm in a big transition time. And again, nobody sees this. Late nights, early mornings. Tonight, perfect example. This is late for me. I'm doing this one late at night right now. My kids, I came home late. I saw them for 2 minutes. I was like, I got to produce some content here and share this and to be like, hey, I need to push this out there. I need to get myself out there and get who I am and what I do every day. Because I know in my business at the end of the day, you're investing in me, the ability for me to work through a problem, right? That's who you want in charge of a business. And, some of the things I've learned, I'm a little bit, hey, I'm type A. I want to be myself. I want to be myself. It's like, I remember, what's that, Man of Steel? Maybe that's Superman. He's being unshackled, right? And like being held back. And I'm like, being held back because I can't be my true self. Well, I want people to work hard who work for me. I want people who are going to learn. Like when you learn Office, are you sharpening your skills? I had a conversation today with somebody. I was like, you're in sales and you don't know this basic technique. I mean, that's like a pitcher not being able to throw a curveball. He's not going to be good if he's just got a fastball because everyone knows a fastball is just going to come at the end of the day. And I said that because one of the guys was a baseball player. So, the right reference to the right person. But if you're just throwing fastballs all the time, that's usually they make you a reliever, right? If you have one pitch, but sooner or later, people are going to figure it out and hit it. So if you're in sales and you're not studying different sales techniques, some things that are kind of the test of time. I was talking about third-party edification, the triangle and how that works. And it's like, over your head. You're a professional. How do you call yourself a professional? Or coming prepared. There's a meeting. And are you showing up prepared? Which means on time, ready to participate. And those are standards. I talk about standards, having standards. That's what I want, standards in my organization. If not, it's my organization. If you can't give me those standards, there's the door. It's better for me to move out. This is me being unshackled, being my authentic self. There's nothing wrong with that. Did I have to tell me this? I had to listen to all these people. You can't do this. You can't do that. No, this is how I want to run my business. I want to be authentic. I want to be natural. I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to be a jerk. But if I want to talk like this is the tone of my voice, right? This tone. I don't have to raise my voice. And hey, are you getting better? Are you sharpening yourself? What do you do after work? Are you reading that book? Are you kind of taking a course? Did you go on social media and look at that person who's an expert in that area? Are you talking to chat? You need to do these things. And this is what I'm building in my organization. These are the standards I want. I'm being authentic. I want to be able to walk in a room and be able, hey guys, let's solve something. When I walk in a room and I have the only answer, I do not want that. I do not want that. I want people to give me an answer. I want to be challenged. I want people to bring data. Do you have the experience? No, I don't have the experience. Who has the most experience? Okay, we'll listen to that person. Who has better data? Well, I heard this. Okay, great. Tell me about that. Great, we could try that out. That's kind of the standards that I have, and those are expectations I want. Again, there's really, nobody sees this. Nobody sees that, hey, this happens all the time. You question yourself. Hey, I don't question myself. I know who I am as a person. I completely know who I am. I know what I want. Authentic. I'm not going to lie. I want to just be able to live my life the way I want to. Yeah, I mean, again, all of us want to be billionaires, and we can be billionaires. I have a fortunate circumstance. I have a business that really is taking off on a trajectory right now. At the same time, I want to be around people who we can enjoy ourselves in these challenges, in these building modes, and then you have these modes where things are going easy, right? And I've always said when things are going easy, maybe I don't need to be around. Someone else could run it for me. And I'm getting back to, again, the part nobody sees. Nobody's telling me, hey, Craig, do this or do that. This is what I choose to be. I'm choosing to be authentic. I'm choosing to be real. I'm choosing to have that conversation. I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to hide behind some HR thing. I understand what to say and what not to say, right? But again, you do that, you just be forthcoming. I had an example today where someone's like, hey, we started someone off on a very low base to begin with. And we said, after a certain amount of time, we'll get you to this level. And the person wanted to be at that level. And I said, I'm sorry, we're not going to have that happen. We're not going to have that happen because you failed to deliver in these areas. I go, we had to ask you, and I put that together. I go, hey, most important thing, put it in writing, of course. You put it in writing and say, hey, this is something that in your role, this is our standards in this role, and you're not meeting this number one standard. This is a big deal. And this person in this case was in a role, and he would be prospecting and he wouldn't set up appointments. He was just like, oh, great, I'm just going to call you whenever. And this is very standard in any business, but these are our standards. Anytime you talk to someone, you set a second appointment up, right? You set it up and we have all these systems in place. And then on top of that is there's constant reminders to do basic reporting. And I said, you need to keep this going for 3 to 5 days. At the end of 3 to 5 days, if you can maintain this, then we could have another conversation about it. This person didn't like it and said, I no longer, and I said, I delivered it, and I like to deliver it in writing first and then do it face to face. And then I said, hey, these are just the standards. If you don't like it, you don't have to be here. It's okay. It's not a big deal. So then I get the email, of course. Don't ever say it to your face. I'm like, okay, again, that's against my standards, right? Because it's like, could you just be authentic? If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. Don't have to take the job. Don't have to be passive aggressive. We've told you, and I told you personally, these are our standards, and you have to match those standards. And hopefully everyone else is out there thinking this way. Don't be scared of these HR laws. You could really set them up. I could help you out with this stuff because I'm really good at writing a role description. So it's like the offer letter matches the role description. You have like 90-day onboarding. And then when you change it, you document it, right? And you sit down and you follow up with it. So it's very easy. You have the job ad and you have a really good role description, right? And then you question, as I got a little bit better in the interview process and using AI there, I could talk about that later on. You sit down, you send the offer letter out. I have a way to send it out to you. I have a 3-step process. And you attach the role description to it and you attach the onboarding to it. And you go over with them. First of all, you go over in the interview process and my 3-step process. You go over 2 to 3 steps. Actually, all 3 steps you go over. And then you have them sign the stuff. The signing stuff's easy, right? That's the easy part, to sign it and document it. Don't get that wrong. And then you go over it and you got to be fair. It's like, okay. And then if you decide to change it, you document that. You both sign it. And you say, I'll revisit that in 30 days. And you just have transparency. And then you document that transparency. And then you make sure when you have that meeting, you go and you set that meeting up. You have that meeting cadence going. You remind them who has the direct accountability to, who's the direct manager in that. And you make sure that is very process driven there. And that's it. And that's all you really got to do. And you put it in paper. Put what you want in paper. Start it in the interview process, right? You got to test for it, of course, because people will lie in that process. We all know where that is. And then and just have it kind of very systematic. It's very easy, and guarantee you'll have less legal issues first of all, and then you'll feel good because you're very transparent and you're being authentic. Hey, this is what I want. I didn't get it. And for me, I take it deeper. I have core values. I have commandments. I have things. Hey, these are the 12 things I expect out of you. And then I remind people, these are my expectations. This, and then and that strike 1, strike 2, just put in paper. Pretty easy process, man. Pretty easy process. These are parts behind the scenes, building a company. You're going so fast. You're trying to hire so fast, right? And you're trying to build something. Hiring's a little tough to do. Again, you got to build a team to build something. So you got to go through that process. I did learn how to use I started using AI for interview questions, because interviewing and coming up, and went back and forth and developed a questionnaire, which is great. And so I took a bunch of stuff I had, and since I had really good role descriptions, jobs ads, I made sure job ad and role description kind of match, put that in there, put in their resume, and I kind of mix it all up, stick in the AI, it spits it out if it's a match or not. And then I have a questionnaire, and in the questionnaire, it really just doesn't only match for the role description, to have it match for the values that we have as well. And more importantly, my personality. So who do I want in my organization? So I programmed it for about a series of questions to have to deal with my personality and how this role in myself or someone else in our organization would work together in our expectations. And it's been quite fascinating because I see the results and I see some of the questions that people are failing, because you kind of put it in there and you could see, like, I've done this regularly and I have like 10 of them, and I got a bunch of, I think these last 10 I had like 1 come in. And I was surprised. I was like, whoa, that one got an A. A lot of people were getting like D's and F's. And a lot of D's and F's. I can't believe there's a lot of D's and F's. Mainly like weren't a lot of A's. There was like borderline. Some guys were borderline. I was grading at like it's a 100-point scale and said unless you're 75, don't get around. some people are resistant to taking it, but I mean, you should take it because it's a match. You want to go into something where it's a match in personalities, and it's been quite useful at the end of the day. And yeah, and some people have looked great on paper and had conversations with, and they're like 65 and says, "Hey, Craig, you need a 75." And I had a guy who was 98 the other day. That was good. So we have something set up there as well. And but you gotta, it's hard to hire slow when you're building something. So again, I kind of like always have job ads up, and now with this automation, it's kind of building that up. So I could be patient building A players with this, and it's been great. I started using it about 30 days ago. I think I got 3 A's, A players, funny, 3 A's that came in through on the test. I do have current people, and I don't really need these people today, but as my business matures, I may need them, and so I'm building a pipeline here. So I do have some techniques and strategies on how I believe that should work. I think as someone who's in a building stage of company, you always have to be prospecting talent all the time and think of ways that are a win-win for both parties. And it's a process because you need some science behind it. It's just not art at the end of the day. The art got me so far. Now the science is really bringing me to the next level. Again, there's really nobody to talk this to about. These are just things that I've learned over time. And yeah, and so, going back to like, this is again, there's a call. Who do I call for this stuff? It's like, hey, Boomer, my old mentor, well, in my 50s, he's 80 years old. He doesn't know what's going on in today's world. AI, what's that? IA? Well, he doesn't really know. I don't know how many people you could call. Ring, ring. How do I deal with this? Ring, ring. How do you deal with this? You got to deal with it on your own. Man, it's like I just read stuff like Erie in the driveway. I was literally in my driveway at 8:45 tonight going, man, I'm going to miss my kids tonight. I've got so much work to do. It was a long day driving through all this stuff. And then I kind of like, and I'm like, man, you know what, Craig? We're going to do this. We're going to go in. We're going to get some content done. We're going to talk about things. We're going to talk about the real side of business and entrepreneurship and market cycles. I find it fascinating, this cycle too. I see this opportunity everywhere, and I see all these people all around, all busy. What do I get? What do I get? Whoa. Relax. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 1 second. Again, hiring fast, going slow, being in the zone, right? That zone state. It's like a hurricane, and it's like being the eye of the hurricane where the calm is. Right now, there's a hurricane going in the world. What's going on with Iran? Every second. It's over. It's not over. It's over. Not over. It's going to last. It's going to change the world, create massive inflation, oil prices. People are going to stop consuming because of the price of gas. It's going to go up. So they have to spend more money on gas. They'll stop buying goods. I don't know. I haven't seen last 3 or 4 years. I haven't seen people buy as much as they did during the pandemic. So all that free money came in. So I think we have bad habits and bad behaviors. A great book I read a long time ago. It's out there. It's called Animal Spirits. And I think it was a Princeton professor, and his wife was a behavioral psychologist. Not sure if she went to Princeton as well. And I tried to find a recent copy. I haven't, but talks about every market cycle. Right before every market cycle, there is a giant amount of fraud happens. And so there's a direct correlation between fraud and the market cycle. But there's a third thing, there's liquidity. So it's like liquidity, fraud, and market cycles all go tongue-in-cheek together. And it's an interesting book. If you find a copy of this, I'd love to get it. I can't find their copy. There's newer versions out there. Someone used that title, so but it was a great book, and it was very interesting in studying the market cycles. And one of the things I've been sharing with people is like, hey, look how market cycles work. Market cycles up and down, up and down. And what happens in a market cycle, the ones who are wealthy, who have cash on hand, really make out well. And I've always talked about having assets, allowing them to appreciate over time, and not pressured to sell. So again, not pressured to sell. When you're pressured to sell, you're going to sell in a distressed situation because you're stressed, distressed. De-stressed, distressed situation is that you're stressed and you need that liquidity. So the way to get it is to sell it quickly. You sell it at a discount, right? And someone else wins, you lose. Whereas if you hang on to it and allow a market where it appreciates and everyone's buying, that's where you make a lot of money. So you need to hang on to your assets. It's one thing that's been tough for me to explain to people. This is how it works. And we could agree to disagree. It's okay. But can we do it in a manner where people aren't just so polarized with it and so emotional about it? Oh, God. So, I'm talking some really high level stuff lately. And what I believe and what's out there, the game, the rules constantly change. And they constantly change so quickly. And there's knee jerk reaction, right? And so, like, man, running a business, you got all this going on. So how are you supposed to do it? Well, one, always, if you have a business, if you have a subscription type of revenue model, that's fantastic. You never want to be focused on like one person bringing in all your revenue. So get to that subscription, systematic money coming at a time. Accumulate assets. If you have assets and they have a lot of value to them and the banks are lending, you could always pull equity out them in tough times. If those assets have a lot of value and let's say it's real estate and you don't have a lot of leverage against that, you could pull against that. Cash, everyone says, hey, have cash in the bank. We all like to do that at the end of the day. These are things you could prepare. But if you're always selling the assets, you're not hanging on to them. I'm pretty asset rich right now in this cycle, which is great. And I'm looking like, whoa, this is going to be great. Liquidity is tough right now. Liquidity is tough, and people really want that liquidity. I could use some liquidity. I want some liquidity up, and you got to go through alternative means to get that liquidity, and it's not easy. And probably what keeps me up at night the most, I would say, I love the fact that my current endeavor, I've got 2 or 3 things going on where I have these massive amounts of value accumulating over the next 2-3 years. That's great. I've also found a way to build out technology that's beyond the regular SaaS model. Fantastic. Have the strategy. I also found a way to have recurring revenue. Fantastic. Also found a way to bring short-term revenue. Fantastic. Where I'm struggling personally is just getting the right team together right now without giving away the farm, right? So live in an expensive area and salaries will decrease. So trying to find people who think this way and it's just challenging. And so I go back to the funnels and hiring funnels. So I'm really working those hiring funnels. And I don't want to you really be careful about giving away too much in today because you're giving away equity or part of your business for tomorrow. You got to be very careful. So in those cases, you got to be lean and stingy and maybe roll your sleeves up. And that's part of the reason I'm up late is, hey, I'd rather do some of this work myself than really bring in some extra people who may not work out. And that's just my 2 cents of what I'm doing in this market. And as I start building out in 2 or 3 months, it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. And I'd love to share the stories with you about what you're doing. And then the pressure you're going in. What does pressure actually do? So let's think of pressure, right? So pressure on coal. That pressure, it creates a diamond. Iron sharpens iron. That's why you always hear me say, I love to hang out with other business owners that are going through what I did. We share stories because we all could talk about how we got through this situation. I mentioned, hey, I had this group, that CEO group. It's part of it. One guy was trying to do something for his staff, and he wanted to do a committee to vote on extra health benefits. It didn't work out well, and Frank came from a good place. He had 250 employees. It kind of blew up. But it came from a good place. I thanked him. His name was Greg. I'm like, Greg, thanks for sharing this because I'm never going to do that. So that's what I learned, something not to do. And that was good. And the other things I've learned from this is like family-run businesses. And Jimmy got vice president or this guy. And I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. They got like 10 to 12 family employees working for them. That was a nightmare. Divorces, that was a nightmare hearing about that with business partners. And one of them's going through a divorce. Personally, I have a business partner going through divorce in the early years, and yeah, it stings. It's like you look back at those times and like, wow, like we're building something, and your mind's not here. I'm like, oh no, and then it starts connecting the dots. No wonder no wonder that didn't happen, right? No wonder this didn't happen. And you're like, oh, right? And this life at the end of the day, we're not all perfect, and you got to accept people for who they are. Well, those things don't prepare you for, right? These are the things that they don't know, the pressure that you get on there, the pressure of hitting the deadline. I like that pressure. It's like, hey guys, let's get to this goal. How are we going to do it? And everyone like, I don't know about that. That is what brings a team together. How do you perform under pressure, right? The pressure that's put upon you. You're the leader. There's a lot of pressure on you all the time. There's no one to talk about it. I have my own ways to deal with it. So I do it. I'm a little nut job. Like, hey, look, I like CrossFit 52. I made the semifinals my age group. Freaking phenomenal. And I chose this last week. I'm not, I'm not going to, I want to say I'm not going to get in the finals. That's the top 15 to 20 in the world. And I was at a workout and I was like, I couldn't keep up with these guys. I'm about 350. I think on a good day, I did a couple things wrong. I maybe crack top 100. Like to see where I would go with that. But I really want to go to the next level. So right now, instead of choosing to go to the semifinals, I'm going to some specific coaches to prepare myself for next year so I can make a run at the finals. If I can, I want to go with this. And that's what I do in my spare time. I'm kind of nuts. Well, as all this pressure's going on, I'm kind of fine-tuning that. It takes my mind off things, but I think the mind-body is connected. I like that cross kind of training, not physically, but mentally. I put my mind somewhere else to solve a different problem. Now I'm like, okay, how do I get better at this like overhead thing? Like, see my arm? Like that's good, but I'm like a little tight there. So how do I get this better to get like an extra 10% here? Or this is the bad one on this side. No, this is the bad one. Sorry, this is the bad one here, right in this level. And this is the bad one like over here. So I'm trying to figure that out. Like pieces, putting the pieces together. It's like get all these pieces together, and I'm 2%, 3%, 4%, and then it's 10, 15%. And then it's like, oh, and then overall I'm that much more efficient, which is a big thing at this level when you're kind of with the elite. Same thing in your business. How do all the pieces come together? See where the mind's going? How do I stick all these pieces together? How do I make this work for that or this work for that? And what happens in a changing market when people aren't trusting people anymore? So how do you change those things up? There's no one to talk to. It's like, oh, Craig, do this. I'm like, that's fine and dandy, but I have to move fast. How do you move fast? You got to use technology. How do you use technology? Well, I'm building something from scratch here. Oh, geez. Who do I talk to? I don't know. These are things nobody sees, nobody talks about. This is the pressure that's put on you. And putting pressure on your team. I like that. That's kind of like say, hey, that's Cortez, Vikings, burning the ships. Put someone, who is it? I'm not sure if it's Sun Tzu who said this. If Machiavelli did it, it's from Sun Tzu. But put people in a death position and see how they react. And you'll be surprised. Some people step up and some people step out. That's the way it is, right? Some people want that pressure and some people don't want that pressure. A lot of people run from the pressure, man. Again, being real, I want people to lean into it. This is where growth comes in. They don't want to do that. And they always like to do that, point that finger at you back. But, sharing the stuff with you guys again, this is like the part nobody sees, the stuff that you bring inside yourself, the long hours, no one you to call at 2 a.m. with a problem to work out, missing your kid's event, the sacrifices you make, rolling up your sleeves, getting up early, figuring out a problem. How do I do this? And doing it in today's world and how to overcome this. While all this money is being pumped into AI, how do I get $1 billion pumped in my company? How do I compete with this competitor? How do I manage a real estate asset? What's going to happen to mortgage rates in the future? How is the bank going to affect me? How do I get a bank loan? How do I deal with shareholders? How do I communicate with people? I have 32,000 customers. I have to communicate with them. And I'm like, okay, guys, this is how we're going to communicate. I'm going to do a live event. You guys could show up. Any of you want to show up and ask me a question, just get on the video, be cordial. Let's have a conversation. That's it. That's what I do. So don't tell me I'm not transparent. I'm very transparent with that stuff. Be nice. Let's talk it through, right? That's what I do. I have AI uncovering my customer service center, so it tracks all the tickets, and I track it, and I get a report every day. This is how many that came through. This is what I like about AI, my systems. It tells me exactly this is many tickets, and I get it every day to make sure everyone's responding for in 24 hours. So that's what I have, and hopefully you gain something out of that. How are you using it? So it does pick off little things for you. So again, these are some of the things that I'm talking about. And, there's, I don't know. It's like, it's the pressure. What does it do to you? Well, I think first of all, a lot of us have to be a little naive and maybe we are lying to ourselves and sometimes how bad it is, or we want to be talking about how great things are. And, at the end of the day, we're lying to ourselves. I mean, things aren't going well. Market's not well. Things are tough. And oh yeah, things are great. Everyone's loving it, loving like that. And sometimes we're lying to ourselves, and just to make ourselves feel better, and we have to do it, and we do it, and we do it, and we do it, and then eventually we get through it, right? And it's the pressure mounting up, and that's kind of the way through pressure is sometimes we have to lie to ourselves. I don't look at the lines like, is the glass half full or half empty? I look at the positive side of things. I look at the opportunities of things in crisis. How can you build from it? How can you recreate yourself? But the pressure does build up. It is something that we all go through. Am I going to make it? Am I going to fail? Am I going to get there headstrong? No matter what, this is going to happen. But things are thrown at you, right? The last couple of days, I had this huge plan of the week. I'm going to do X, Y, Z this week. Boom, got all this shit that popped up. I'm like, oh, God. And then I'm like, how do I do this? And I do that at the same time, and just moving so fast and trying to get a result. And yeah, there's pressure. And for me, it's just like, hey, I want to stabilize my company. I want to be at my kids' events. My daughter got into a great school. Twice she's been there. I haven't been there over the last 4 weeks. I'm missing out. Fortunate last weekend, though, I did make time. We saw a movie. It was not that good of a movie, but I went with her. She loved it. It was 3 hours. I had my phone off too, so I was there present. She liked that, but just not a good movie. So I did get to spend my time with her, so I did sneak that in. So feel good about that stuff. But let's get real here. Let's talk about the pressure. There's a lot of pressure on this. There's puts pressure on you and your family. You come home, you're late, you got to deal with it. And you guys out there, and I talked to a customer the other day, and the wars affected his supply chains. He's a manufacturing business, and he doesn't know his cost right now. He needs everything unsettled. He doesn't know if his business can be cost effective. How many other people are going through that pressure right now? I guarantee you a lot of people, and who can they turn to? Well, you know what? You could turn to me. We could get together. We could have conversations. We could talk about how we're kind of doing this and dealing with this stuff. What if it's a money issue? You need money. You need some money to be put into your business. First of all, if you need money to be put in your business, first of all, do you have your shit together, right? Is your head straight? Because you got to get your head straight because they're going to invest in you. That's the first thing. So, okay, take care of that. That's good. You got a lot of pressure on you. You got to deal with that. But hey, you got to take care of yourself first. That first. Second thing is making sure you have the right business model in this new world. Do you have something? A lot of us don't. A lot of us are kind of just guessing. Let's not be honest. Let's not lie to ourselves. We're just guessing. But do you have something that resembles that a little bit, right? And if you do, okay, you got good. You're set, right? You're confident, good. You got somewhat a good business model. Okay, now go to who knows you right now. Who are in business world? Your constituents, your shareholders. Go to them. Have a conversation. Pick up the phone. Get real with them. First of all, before you do that, make sure that you're talking to the ones that can help you out. Do your due diligence, KYC, know your customer. Make sure that they are in a good position economically. The last thing you want to do is spend an hour talking to the wrong person. KYC, know your shit. Know your shit. KYC, know your customer. So if you could do that, got your stuff, got your shit together, right? You know now your customer who's got some liquidity, and maybe you need $1 million for your business. Reach out to them, and just have a conversation. This is where I'm at. This is what I'll do. This is what I'll give you. This is how you benefit. This is the risk involved. How about it? You know me. You know I'm going to come through. So let's put the rest aside. This is a good business decision for both of us. And usually things work out. I had this recently conversation with someone, and it was great. It went well for me. Got the money, and so that's what you do. Now, it's not about me. It's about you. It's all businesses are different, right? But again, if you're confident, your head's right, you have a good enough business plan that you can get stuff, and then you have the right people who have the liquidity to help you out, you should be able to get that. It's tough if you're a new person and you're trying to do things today in today's environment. I personally, someone reached out to me, and I'm just like, no, I'm not that guy. It's like I could help you out, I could steer in the right direction, but that's not me. And it's someone, they need to do it on their own. They need to figure this out. That's something. It's a stranger. I don't know them, right? So that's usually not going to work. So if it's a stranger and I'm selling them a product, does this product benefit from them? That's a different story. But a stranger who wants something that's invest in someone's company. right now, no, that's not going to work for me. So probably shouldn't work for you either. But again, what separates like us today, like as men in today's world, and women too, and I'm okay. And this is it. We're being honest. We're talking about the heartache, the doubts, the not knowing the future, the economy, the part nobody sees, the long hours, the sweat, equity, the sacrifices. Us maybe paying yourself less and making sure employees get paid. Looking at your accounts receivable, and you didn't get those payments coming in, or that big asset sale didn't happen. All that stress happening, get that customer to come in, or that investor. It's just taking a long time. It's the part nobody sees. It's hectic, and I understand that, and I relate to that at the end of the day. And you know what? Again, reached out to other business owners. Hey, look at my stuff. Look at my contact. Subscribe to my channel. Love to share stories. Reach out to me. I'm 5 to 10 million, 5 to 50 million. You're my guys, right? We live in the same world. 5 to 50 million is kind of my sweet spot. Love to kind of talk to you, what you're going through, trials, tribulations. Maybe you just got out of it too. You want to give some stuff back. We relate to each other. If you're early in a stage, that's okay. 1 to 5 million, more than welcome to join us as well in conversations. And we just want to help each other out and give ideas, right? It's not necessarily giving money; it's more giving ideas and how'd you overcome this situation, or maybe you figured something out, or maybe you haven't figured something out. And then at the end of the day, the price. It's like we have this weight on us. It's like we're exhausted. Come home exhausted all the time, or what's going on? Me, I'm a little nut job. Like again, I came home late, worked late. I still got my workout in though, and I was like, I crushed it. I had a good day, so I crushed it, and I like competing. You need these moments, and for me, it's these moments that really revitalize myself. So I do have my drive into work, and I'm driving, and I'm talking to my iNotes, or listening. Then I listen to some music. Sometimes I'm asking Claude or ChatGPT, trying to solve a problem with them. Pretty early, like to get a couple calls in if I can to get things done. And then also it's taking time to exercise. I also do some hot cold therapy 2-3 times a week. That's been fantastic. One of the things I found out in that recently, though, it's just kind of like when I do that and then I go to work out the next day, I don't have much energy. So it's like really drains me physically. So I kind of usually do that Friday night and like Sunday, my 2 times a week. So I'm kind of doing a lot less than I used to do on that because the exhaustion does. Actually, Wednesday night's the big night. I do like Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 3 days a week. It was that Dr. Andrew Huberman said 3 days a week at 20 degrees or 20 minutes in the sauna at 100 degrees Celsius, which is 212.5 Fahrenheit, decreases the risk of heart disease by 50%. And that's why I'm doing it. And great. And then it's great recovery for my body as well. And I'm doing it for my heart, right? I'm honestly, that's the first thing I'm doing it for. Byproduct, sometimes it flushes things out in my mind. That's not really a big deal anymore for me. Mentally, I'm kind of just do some breath work, but also helps my muscles and my body as well. But primarily, the primary reason I do it's for my heart, so I could be around for my kids and family to support them. But if you're like me, you're going through some tough time, nobody sees it. Hey, love to hear your stories, love to share stories with you. Subscribe to my channel. Let's talk about this. Exhaustion. I know how you feel exhausted. It's mentally and physically exhausted over time. There's ways to do this. You got to kind of go through it. You got to lean into these tough time periods. What I could say is if in the middle of the day, go for a walk. If you have some breath work, do it. If you notice that it's going to be a very tough time period, try to make some time for yourself. Most importantly, though, is there's other people out there. Nobody sees what you're going through. I see it. I see what you're going through. And other guys like me see what you're going through. So if you need someone to reach out to, need someone to talk to, again, $5 to $50 million revenue range, are those the people that can relate to what I'm going through? Reach out to me. Love to share stories and see how we can help each other out. Hey, we only have one life. We might as well enjoy it. We might as well share together. We might as well reach out to one another and see if we could help them out. Let's do it. Let's win. Let's win big. a lot of opportunity together. There's a lot of opportunities out there in this market, and I'd love to give back to you to help you out in your journey. Likewise, maybe you could share some stuff with me as well. So talk to you soon. Subscribe to my channels and stick with it.